Hello and welcome back to my channel. I'm Financial Coach Jess, and in today's video I want to talk about the pros and cons of being an employee versus a business owner. And I think being an entrepreneur, especially in recent years, has been greatly romanticized. And although there's a lot of amazing benefits that come with being an entrepreneur, there's also a lot of downsides and just realities that are not talked about enough. I personally would hate for someone to put all of their time and effort into becoming an entrepreneur and owning their own business just to become very disappointed and very disillusioned when it's not what they expected because all they saw were these glam experiences on YouTube. I believe it was Kevin O'Leary from Shark Tank who said, if I would have known how much work it was going to be to build a business, I never would have started. And I 100% relate with this sentiment because I honestly can't even describe to you how much work it is to build a business from nothing, from absolutely zero. And this is really my first big comparison between the two. I know the big selling point for entrepreneurship is don't waste your life working a 9 to 5. But what they don't tell you is that when you first start your own business, you're going to be working a 5 to 9. And that's not really an exaggeration. It is taxing physically, emotionally, mentally. And I have come to the conclusion that it really isn't for everyone. Not to say that it's not possible for everyone. I do believe that it is possible for everyone to start and grow their own business. I truly believe that if you know what to expect, prepare for it, and then set your mind to it, literally anyone is capable of starting and growing their own business, but it's not for everyone. Just in the relatively short amount of time that I have owned my own business, I have seen very successful businesses close down. And this isn't necessarily coaching, but just people at my church, people in the area, entrepreneurs that I've met online. And what it really came down to for a lot of them is that they wanted a steady income that did not require of them what entrepreneurship required. In order to keep growing their business, they would have needed full-time employees, operating procedures, customer relations. And the truth is, goals evolve and change. And the vision of their life and really their current lifestyle just didn't really fit entrepreneurship anymore. And that's okay. Going from entrepreneur to employee or vice versa doesn't mean anything in terms of success or failure because this is such an isolated indicator. We don't know anything about that person's life, their goals, their mental health, where they're at in relation to their family. And that's very important to remember as we go through this video today. Going from employee to entrepreneur does not mean success, just like going from entrepreneur to employee does not mean failure. It's just one part of the much bigger equation. Going back to my main point of trading a 9 to 5 for a 5 to 9, and I definitely don't want to downplay the amount of work that happens as an employee. I think the bigger comparison is just the separation of work and life. Even with salaried positions, there's still a sense of being off the clock and having that very distinct separation that you just don't get as an entrepreneur. When you are not at work as an employee, there are other qualified employees and even managers that are there, so the work still gets done. With early entrepreneurship, this is not the case. When the business owner is not doing the work is not getting done. And this very easily overwhelms a lot of early entrepreneurs, and it's why the burnout rate is so high. The second big comparison is very similar to this, and that is paid time off. When you are an employee, you have PTO for things like emergencies, sickness, vacations, etc. As an entrepreneur, especially in the early days, you have to be really strategic about the time that you take off. And this isn't really talked about, right? It's all be your own boss and set your own schedule. But no one really talks about the fact that you have to work up to a place where you can successfully take time off and it not be more work for you. In the beginning, if you take a week off, usually it's just as much work. The third big comparison is risk versus reward. As an employee, there is much less risk and therefore much less reward. If you mess up at work, nothing might happen. You might get reprimanded, and depending on the offense, you could lose your job if it was just something really terrible. Most likely, an honest mistake is not really going to cost you anything. It will cost the company, but the expense will be absorbed and you won't personally feel the effects of it. On the other hand, as an entrepreneur, you will most definitely and personally feel the effects of your mistake. And this isn't just for the beginning of your business either. It could actually be argued that this compounds as you grow. Let's take 7- and 8-figure business owners. I mean, at that level, the decisions that they're going to be making are even bigger. They carry more weight and they affect even more people. But the upside is that the good decisions that you make, you will personally feel, and revenue will also reflect it. Of course, this is why entrepreneurship is such a roller coaster, because everything is hinging on you as the business owner. The decisions that you make have such a bigger impact overall. There's more risk, but there's also way more reward. If you make really good decisions at work, you put in enormous amounts of effort, and you just really excel at your job, you will still feel the effects of that, but they're going to be much slower and over a much longer period of time, which doesn't really help with motivation and incentives when you don't feel those effects right away. If you are an hourly employee, this is probably really resonating with you, because as an hourly employee, you can hustle and you can strive and you can do all of your work and then some, but it's just not really going to affect you positively because you're paid by the hour. Someone else who is lazy, maybe just screws around all day and does the bare minimum, is getting the exact same pay as you. So it's very low risk, but also very low reward. Another really big, important difference between being an employee and being a business owner is your ability to change things quickly. And I remember when I taught high school, or even my husband now, as he works at a manufacturing facility, it can be very, very difficult to get a procedure optimized or to change a system, because you constantly have to go through all of the appropriate channels first in order to do so. Of course, at a large scale, this is 100% necessary, but it's just unfortunate because usually not everyone agrees. You've got some people that say, no, we need to keep it the same because this is the way we've always done it. And it can just be very frustrating and difficult to make big or very meaningful changes within a workplace. On the flip side, as an entrepreneur, I can take things from idea to implementation very, very quickly. And I love this. I am an action taker, and I don't really need other people to affirm my visions or to bring up hesitations or doubts or what ifs. I'm okay making mistakes, learning very quickly, and moving forward in my business always. This leads me to another really big difference between entrepreneurship and being an employee, but that is, as an employee, you have the affirmation and encouragement of others. Feedback is very useful, helpful, and necessary for some people. Really solid, constructive critique is hard to find in a workplace. If you have a boss who's also a leader and truly believes the best in their employees and really wants the best for them, this is just completely invaluable, I think. Of all the places that I've worked, I've had some really, really good bosses, and I've also had some really, really terrible bosses. And it can make or break a workplace, which is unfortunate. And although I don't have to worry about that anymore, and I'm glad I don't have to, there really is something truly special about a boss who is also a leader and truly mentors and pours into their employees. You also just may be someone who needs to be with other people on a daily basis. Maybe you don't work well alone. Elon Musk illustrated this perfectly when he was on Clubhouse really not that long ago, and someone on that platform asked him, what encouragement would you give to a new entrepreneur? And he replied, if you need encouragement, don't become an entrepreneur. And he's not wrong. This perfectly illustrates the grit and the mindset that you need as a new entrepreneur when you're just starting out. Another big difference, and really one of the biggest perks of becoming an entrepreneur, is that you can work toward not trading time for money. And I know passive income has really gotten a bad reputation, and sometimes it's used as a scam, and sometimes it is a scam, depending on who's talking about passive income. But the truth is, one of the biggest perks about being a business owner is that you can have your business run independently from yourself. This is something you can work toward, but it's not something that's possible at a 9 to 5. It's also not automatic for starting a business either. And I think a lot of people start a business with this idea that they can make money in their sleep, and then 5 years later they wake up and they're still doing the grunt work and they aren't able to scale. They basically just created a 9 to 5 within their business, except with no PTO, no insurance, no benefits, retirement. They basically created a 9 to 5 within their business without any of the perks. No one does that on purpose. This is like the worst of both worlds. When working toward not trading time for money and creating passive income within your business, you have to be really strategic and really intentional as you scale. It's not something that's just automatic that happens when you start a business. Another pro of being a business owner is that the internal growth that happens as an entrepreneur is so much bigger than what is possible as an employee. And some of you guys might disagree with this, and that's okay. And I do still think that a lot of internal growth and personal development can happen in the workplace. You can move up, you can take on more responsibility, you're managing other people, etc. However, I don't think that it can compare to the growth that happens as a solopreneur. The pressure alone of every single decision coming back to you. The buck stops with you as the business owner on everything. And sure, you hire professionals. You're certainly not doing everything yourself down the road. But if a contractor messes up, it goes back to you. If an employee messes up, it's a reflection of your business, your responsibility. And the growth that happens as a result of that kind of pressure and just everything being so new. I mean, everything is like drinking from a fire hose. Everything is trial by fire. I just think that that kind of growth is completely unparalleled. So how do you know if being an employee is right for you? How do you know if you're cut out for entrepreneurship? Before we get into some questions to help you decide if you're getting value out of this video so far, don't forget to like this video. That helps me so much know what you guys find valuable, and subscribe to my channel for the YouTube algorithm. Now, let's get into some questions to help you decide if an employee position or being a business owner is right for you. And question number 1 is, can you delay gratification? Do you have the time to invest right now so that you can reap big rewards later on? And here's a great graph that really portrays the income potential of owner versus employee. Can you take a loss now for big gains later? It all goes back to the investment mindset that I love to talk about here on my YouTube channel. Question number 2, do you work well alone? And of course, you can go into a business as a partnership and go into business with someone else. But I will say, for the most part, people who are watching my videos are solopreneurs. So that's who I'm talking to in this question here. Question number 3, are you willing to accept all of the risk and all of the responsibility? Just like I talked about a little bit ago, all of the risk and all of the reward is on the shoulders of the business business owner. For a lot of people, that doesn't really align with their values and with their vision for their life. Maybe they want less pressure and less stress, and the business owner entrepreneurship route just wouldn't be right for them right now. Question number 4, do you have a growth mindset and are you willing to learn? Drinking from a fire hose is not an exaggeration when becoming an entrepreneur, and you have got to be willing to fail and make mistakes so that you can learn and grow. And finally, question number 5, how strict do you want to be when separating work and life? Is a work-life balance a struggle for you already? I will say, in the early days of entrepreneurship, that struggle becomes even worse. It doesn't get better at the beginning of your business when you are doing everything. So is that a struggle for you? Is that something where you want really strict boundaries? I hope that this video was really helpful for you guys today. As always, leave me a comment below that you enjoyed this video. Make sure you like it and subscribe to my channel for future videos, and I'll see you guys in the next one.